I was a kid once. I don't have memories of being one, but I got pictures to prove it. I have stamps in my passports, which are long expired, from trips I took to visit distant relatives that I don't even remember. A trunk full of papers spanning my entire school career occupies a corner in my living room. I looked through it once, and it felt like reading letters from a stranger. I have rocks that I picked up and pocketed on hiking trails once upon a time, although I couldn't tell you where or when I got them or why I have them. I hate hiking. I always have. I think it's mostly due to my crippling fear of legless reptiles. I have boxes of sealed LPs from shows I don't remember going to, let alone enjoying. These things aren't important to me today, but I hang on to them just in case. Just in case someday I'll hit my head hard enough to remember why they were once significant in the first place. I often wonder what a stranger would think if they walked into my bedroom. Strange sculptures of body parts that double as tables, stacks of books on how to be happy, mixed in with sad poetry and punk scenes, unfinished art projects and essays. Band posters cover my walls. They're all framed, of course, because I like to think that's the adult thing to do. I've got my guitars, a neglected ukulele, pianos, an accordion I don't even know how to play. And then there's the Muppets. They're everywhere. Vintage mugs with the faces of Rowlf, Miss Piggy, Statler, Waldorf, and some of my other friends are scattered on every possible surface, most of which holding multicolored markers that I put back in their respective homes even after they've dried up. Hand puppets and plush dolls, empty lunch boxes and trinket holders, Pez dispensers and prayer candles, paintings that friends have made me as gifts, books written by my friends Kermit the Frog and Pepe the King Prawn, a sealed board game that was made before I was even conceived as a thought, sheet music, cake molds. These are just the things I can see from where I'm sitting right now. Sometimes I imagine being on MTV's Room Raiders with a handsome stranger walking into my happy space and them trying to figure me out. They decide my room belongs to some sort of Encino Man character, or someone who maybe woke up from being in a coma since the early 2000s. They laugh. They pick the date with the hippie chick with the tie-dyed tapestry and likely live happily ever after. Sometimes I wonder if my room is the reason I'm alone. If any of the men I was once excited to bring home didn't call me back because they thought I was immature or weird. When I really think about it, I can't blame them for judging me, just as much as I judge someone who collects Star Trek figurines or sports memorabilia. Like most tangible items acquired before I grew up and metaphorically got my shit together, I'm not sure where or when I met the Muppets, but I do know that they are a big part of my life story and have been trudging along beside me on my journey from the moment that I decided I wanted to keep on living. My name is Tillie, and I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic. I used to think I was just a drug addict, but after an experiment gone wrong, I learned that I do not make the best decisions after I start drinking, drugs being one of them. In hindsight, had Beaker and Bunsen told me that I had a problem before I knew that I did, I think I would have laughed at those nerds. Today I'm fully aware that I'm not even close to being a scientist, so I leave stuff like that to the professionals. I got sober almost 4 years ago. My reasons for doing so were to save a shitty relationship that I ended up leaving, to save the friendships that I'm lucky enough to still have, and the thought of my dogs being sad if I just didn't wake up one day. I thought about how Rolf stopped talking for a while after Jim Henson died. That fucked me up for a while. Recovery is a weird thing, especially in an anonymous program that I will not name, but actively participate in. Everyone has their own horror stories, reasons for sticking around, and their own idea of what the word God means. I prefer the term higher power, because to me, calling my higher power God would be the same as referring to all amphibians as Kermit. When I was in the process of figuring out what I wanted from a perfect higher power that I had no reason to believe in, I listed a few key qualities which I wanted my concept of anything but some sort of sky daddy to embrace. It needed to be loving. It needed to teach me lessons, to inspire me creatively, to speak to me, to not just die on me one day, to be there when I needed some comfort, to have a sense of humor, and to help me be a better version of myself. You can probably see where this is going. Sometimes when I'm having a bad day, I'll flip through one of my Muppet books. Kermit usually has some seemingly simple metaphor about being a small frog in a big pond of dumb tadpoles, but it always hits me in such a profound and relatable way. Like he's reminding me that I matter, even when I feel small and insignificant. Miss Piggy may be a fashion icon and set an example of how confidence can get you anywhere, but to me, she shows me exactly what I don't want any potential future relationship to look like, no matter how in love I think I might be. Janice reminds me to be patient with myself, to not sweat the small stuff, because today won't be groovy if I waste it tripping out on tomorrow, because tomorrow isn't even real. I just need to be present, exist, and chill out, for sure. I don't cook, nor would I eat anything that my favorite chef from Sweden has ever attempted to make. Everything I know about flirting, I learned from Pepe, which is probably the reason why I'm single, okay? Fozzie taught me that even if I'm the only one laughing, my jokes are still funny. And Gonzo reminds me that even if sometimes I feel like I don't fit in, I still belong. These creatures are more than just faces on a t-shirt. They're more than their movies, their franchise, their music. They're my best friends. They're a power greater than me, much greater, and they've been here all along. I just wasn't looking hard enough. All of this is enough to get me through today, because that's all I've got. This moment. This moment's gone. Now it's a new one. I may not shout all of these thoughts from the rooftops, but I feel them in my heart, and it sure is nice to feel again. At the end of the day, it all comes down to acceptance. If the man in my dreams saw my room and walked out, I'd know he wasn't really the man in my dreams. Or if I had a heart-to-heart with someone about how Jim Henson's imagination and his goofy-looking felt creature saved my life, and I got a funny look, I would just move right along to the next moment. Jim Henson once said that when he was young, his ambition was to be one of the people who made a difference in this world, that his hope was to leave the world a little better for having been here. And that's exactly what he did. He did it for the lovers, he did it for the dreamers, and he did it for me.